So when people talk about generational wealth, most money is spent, like 70% of the wealth is spent in the first generation, 90% is spent in the second. So most people's money is not passing from one generation to the next. So most people are not experiencing generational wealth. Even if they are saving up generations of wealth, your families are not experiencing it because the people blow through the money as soon as they inherit it,
right? Which
leads to the trust.
Right. So how do you combat that? How do you make sure that continues to keep
if you wanna control it, right? That's where the trust comes in. So we always leave money in trust for minor kids. But then the attorneys always say, at what age can the kid get the money? And you'll see it'll say 18, 21, 25 or 21, 25, 30. When you see that we're phasing checks, giving checks out of the trust, and they're putting in their bank account and they're blowing through it. And so by the time and there's nothing left.
Hey, y'all, it's episode 39, Moguls in the Making. I'm Jennifer Norton. Come check us out. We're going to talk about preserving, protecting, and passing generational wealth.
Yo, what's going on, man? We back for another episode of Moguls in the Making. We are at episode 39. Can you believe it, man? We almost at 40 already.
That's kind of crazy. We are on episode 39.
We're staying consistent, man. We're staying consistent.
We are, man.
Episode 40, man. I'm your host, Catch a Bag. Oh, of course. I got this knucklehead with me.
Episode 40.
Did I say that?
That's what you just said.
I'm sorry, y'all. Episode 39. You know what I mean.
I'm just making a mistake.
Hey, I made a mistake. But I'm your host, Catch a Bag. Oh, and I got this knucklehead with me.
Y'all know who it is. Hold up real quick.
Hey.
You're most gracious, you're most lovely, you're most handsome.
Yeah.
You're most gracious, you're most lovely, you're most handsome.
Hey,
this your most gracious, you're most lovely, you're most handsome is host. I'm just going to be regular Tyrone today, okay? Just Tyrone. You don't have to call me all those other names. It's okay. But nah, I'm happy to be here. Episode 39. We got some good stuff for y'all today.
Yeah.
Let's talk though about what's going on in the business right now and what's really making us happy about it. Honestly, I don't want to talk about no negative stuff today.
All right, man. I mean, that's business. You know, we got the negative with the positives at this point, you know, with our portfolio and all of that stuff and people. But I think, you know, the big thing that me and T kind of been talking about lately is the fact of how much our team is gelling now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love that. Like, it's such a good feeling, like being a leader and seeing people take accountability or just knowing that certain people are in the right spots. Like, you see them catch it. You see them take it even further than what you thought, bring you different suggestions and stuff like that. And I'm like, dang, I love to see it. Like right here, I was just looking at our assistant. She was talking to our lead manager. They basically had like a big meeting today, and it was one of their first big meetings for a different project, right? And I was like, hey, you guys got it. I trust you. Go ahead, handle it, and let me know, what come out of it. And then she wrote down the bullet points. Here's what we talked about. It went really good. Here's what we're going to do afterwards. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like it just felt super good, man. So
I think, one of my biggest dreams in this wholesale business, at least, really in any business that I really get involved with, to be 100% honest, is to be able to not be there and it still flows the way that it's supposed to flow, right? So with a lot of that comes delegation, which is one of my hardest things to get over, right, is delegating stuff, because I like to do stuff. I like to do it first. For one, I still like to do stuff first so I can be like, all right, this person is not doing what they're supposed to do, or this person not doing what they're supposed to do. But like Omari said, it gets to a point where they take things and they take it to a whole nother level when they're in the right position and when it's gelling the correct way. So, if the person isn't, what we push in our business is, in our company, is everybody is their own leader. Like, whatever your position is, lead that position to the best of your abilities.
Ownership.
You know what I'm saying? Take it as you're the owner of that position. So everybody on the team is a leader. You know what I'm saying? Not just us. So I think the people that we have right now, they've really taken that to heart. And I hope the next person that we hire takes it, because that's one last position that we kind of just holding up on, that once we get a key player in that position, it's on and popping for y'all, Indianapolis.
Man, we here. We gelling like eco gel. You know what I mean? So,
but no, we have a very, very special guest today.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm excited to hear about this, and I'm excited to learn from her. Honestly, who we got here today?
Man, hey, we got somebody that's special. We actually had a phone conversation. I'm like, this lady's doing a lot of stuff. Like, this is super dope. Like, come on the podcast. One, I'm going to be 100% honest. I just want to build a deeper relationship with you. I don't know if we can get you on the podcast. We can do that. So I'll be honest with all of y'all. This is to develop a deeper relationship. This is very selfish of me. Saying that out in the open right now. Second, though, but I thought it was super good and super different that, just our industry doesn't highlight enough of or don't understand maybe how to build a relationship with you, right? We got a very certain, real estate investors or realtors have a certain way of thinking about how attorneys work or people that work in, just kind of the law realm and things like that. And at least not in Indianapolis, there's not a lot of overlap or like clicking and things like that. So we do got Jennifer Norton. She is in the building today. And yeah, we're going to hold this a little bit longer. Can we hold it? We're going to drown that thing all the way out,
Definitely. We appreciate you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. So Jennifer, catch us up. Let everybody know what all you do.
Okay.
Because it's not just...
I do a lot. Yeah. So I'm Jennifer Norton. Like you guys said, I'm an estate planning attorney here in Indianapolis, Indiana. I've been practicing about 14 years now. Okay. I'm born and raised from Indiana. Graduated from Cathedral High School, and I went to IU in Bloomington.
Boo.
And what? Where else is there to go?
Oh.
Why would you go anywhere else?
Oh. All I'm going to say is boil her up, but I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go.
Well, boil her down. But okay.
We getting hot and spicy already. We here.
The Hoosiers are in the house, so But I have a degree in finance from the Kelley School of Business.
Really good school.
From there, and then I kind of had a panic attack, and I was like, oh my God, I really don't like what I was doing. And they didn't really talk about being maybe like a financial advisor. I would probably do that, something that's more like interactive with people. But I was behind the scenes doing like taxes and working for the government. I did some not-for-profit work, and I said, let me just go to law school. So I went to law school because it's a general degree, and everybody says attorneys, they know everything. You can do anything if you become an attorney. So I was like, well, hell, I'll figure it out when I get there. So,
so you wasn't originally even thinking about being an attorney?
No, my uncle believes that, he always thought I should have been an attorney. But what I did was, and this sounds really crazy, but I convinced one of my best friends. I said, we don't like finance. Let's go to law school. So I convinced one of my really good friends, Irene. And she was like, well, Jen, I don't really want to go to law school. I'm like, yes, we do. We definitely want to go to law school. So I made her apply. We both applied. And I came back. I'm like, yeah, I got accepted to this. And I got waitlist on this. And I got accepted to this. So what'd you do? She's like, oh, I only applied to one.
Oh.
I was like, what? She only applied to IU. And I said, well, looks like we're going to IU.
Wow.
So we both end up going to Indiana University. Funny thing is, she doesn't even practice law.
Dang.
So
she did all that.
You convinced her to go all the way through law school.
Get all that debt. But she ended up working for the federal government. So for 10 years, they wiped the debt clean. But,
oh, did they?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. Sweet.
So it's okay. It's a wash.
So you don't owe her one?
Nah. I ain't, it's for her betterment. If she wants to lead there, she can do whatever she wants. That's because attorneys can do whatever they want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I worked for there. So when it's a general degree. So when I graduated, I'll end up working for the CEO of the National Network of Estate Planning Attorneys. And we basically train attorneys across the country on trust-based estate planning. So making money pass from one generation to the next. So I would say I help people preserve, protect, and pass generational wealth. And so I worked for him about 4.5 years and then realized there wasn't enough of my community doing trusts. And they really weren't talking about like wills, because why would you get a will? It doesn't do half the things people think it does. And so I left his practice and started my own almost in November to be 10 years. Okay. And so I've had my own practice here. I'm on 37th in Meridian, 3750 North Meridian.
Oh, okay.
We're on the 3rd floor. And so we currently, we have a team of 6. I'm looking to hire 3 more people right now. So it'll probably be a team of 9 by the end of the year.
Okay.
But we do wills, trusts, powers of attorney, living wills. We settle estates when a death occurs, whether it's a probate, a trust administration. We do strategic Medicaid qualification, and we do guardianships if people fail to get like a power of attorney and stuff for their loved one, whether they're older or special needs or anything like that.
Right.
But we're full service practice, and we do it all.
That's sweet.
So, Jennifer, how many cases ongoingly do you guys deal with, like, a week?
Oh, my God.
That kind of deals with, like, the probate realm, estate planning realm of things.
So if you segment it, so when it comes to probate, like if a death occurs, right now we probably have about 78 cases 78 estates that we're kind of helping people get through. On average, I would say, I don't know, maybe 5 calls a week, about a death. And so my paralegal and I and my law clerk and I, we kind of usher those families through that difficult process. And then, but for my trust-based clients, so with a trust, there's a lot behind it, and y'all can probably ask me questions. But essentially, when it comes to
Not
trust,
probably.
It's coming for
sure. When it comes to trust, that's where money is moving, wealth is moving. And so when the laws change and your family dynamics change, then the plan should change. And so in our practice, we have a maintenance program for our trust-based clients so that they can update their estate plans. And so we take our list. I have about 350 client families that have trust-based plans in my practice.
Okay.
And so we take the list and cut the list in half. One half updates one year, and the other half is scheduled to update the other year. So when you talk about that part of my practice, about 50 of those clients are not on the maintenance program, but I would say I have about 300. We're upwards on our way to 400 clients that have trust-based plans in our practice.
What is a trust-based plan?
Okay, so let's start breaking it down. Okay, so you can get a will or trust, or you can do nothing.
Right.
Most people do nothing. And so when you do nothing, what happens?
Wait, really quick, and I don't want to cut you off. Sorry, but what? I'm sure you know some type of percentage of like people that do nothing versus doing something.
Yeah, it's about 60% of people do nothing.
Wow.
And it's higher in our community. So if you take, right, so it's even higher in the African American.
Okay, you can continue. That's, I know it was
so
bad.
60% of people don't have a will, trust,
and that's regardless of race.
Right.
But if you if you break it down by race, it's even higher.
Right. For black people.
And brown.
Black and brown.
Okay.
So when you're thinking about a plan, your options are, if you do nothing, which again most people don't. What people are their family's experience is called probate. Are you guys familiar with that? Okay.
Yeah.
I always tell people it's like a morbid scavenger hunt where people are trying to figure out what you own, where is it, what to do with it. And so the court says, since people don't know, then someone needs to be appointed over the estate so that they can do the administration, because the courts can't be in all these families' houses, right? So someone, in Indiana, as long as the person's over the age of 18 and they've not committed a felony, they can be appointed as the representative or administrator of the estate.
Right. Some states they call it the executor. Right?
Yeah, you can be called the executrix if you're a woman. But then what happens is once you're appointed, we have to publish notice in the local paper, because the court assumes if we don't know what you own, we don't know who you owe either.
Exactly.
So it's called publication. We have to publicize your death and allow for creditors to file into the estate. Now, certain states, the length is longer. So I think Texas it's like 6 months. Indiana it's 90 days, 3 months. Yeah. But they have to show evidence of the debt, swear under penalties of perjury that the debt still exists, and pay a filing fee to the court. If they do all of these things, then they will have perfected their claim. Sorry, my head. But what happens is, I think I'm on backwards. But what happens is, most of the creditors don't pay the filing fee. So then what happens is at the end of the 90 days, the judge will dismiss the claim. And so the judge will throw it out. It's called a 41E dismissal hearing. They'll dismiss the claim in Indiana.
41E dismissal hearing.
Yep.
So they'll throw it out for
fail to pay the fee.
Oh, okay.
Say it. Just say it, bro. What you trying to say?
So the claim is just a filing fee that you're paying. So no, it's about $150. Yeah. So what happens is,
shoot, I need to fake my death or something, and so creditors cannot pay it, then come back, and then I'd be gone.
Well, that's what.
All right, let me stop playing.
Well, what typically happens is most creditors don't pay the filing fee because they hire all these companies from out of state, and they don't know the rules. And so then so the attorneys, what we do is it's their job to prove the claim.
Exactly.
Right. And so if they don't prove the claim, we can neither affirm nor deny the claim. We can just be silent. And at the end of the 90 days, the judge will dismiss the claim. If they pay the filing fee to the court, then they will have perfected their claim, and then they have to go. They can file civilly.
So they don't even know that they need to. Some people don't even know that they need to pay.
Yeah, well,
in order
that's not my job to tell
right,
them.
Exactly.
That's your job. If you're a creditor, you need to know or get yourself an attorney who's here who can help you.
Exactly.
So we have a client who had to file a claim. They're here, and we had to file the civil suit so that we can make sure we perfect their claim.
Got you.
But if we would have failed to file that civil suit, then the judge could dismiss that claim. Hold on.
you.
Yeah, you could turn around.
Yeah, I saw it because it said left and right. Yeah,
there we go. Much better. And so what happens typically at the end of the 90 days, like I said, the claim is dismissed most of the time. So it's like a 50-50 chance whether or not the creditor is going to pay the claim. And so that's why people don't really like probate, because it takes too long. It costs too much. Right? We got to wait these 90 days for to figure out if the creditor's going to file in, and then it costs too much because most attorneys are billable hour, right? Because we're going on this morbid scavenger hunt, and most people didn't tell their people where their stuff is. Like, you don't know where he banks. You don't know where you bank.
Right.
Your people don't probably know where you bank, where your investments are. There's thousands of life insurance companies. So we're going on this morbid scavenger hunt, and then people are grieving, and they're calling us. Well, I'm a flat fee attorney, but if they're a billable hour attorney, that's when it becomes really expensive. Where the real kicker is, people think, if I die, they think they know where their assets go, and they really don't. So what typically happens is when you own things jointly, or if you have a beneficiary on something like a policy, like life insurance, retirement plan, or annuity, those are contractual agreements. So the minute a death occurs, ownership passes, even though the institution doesn't know that you've died. So someone has to come in with a death certificate, and then they'll know, a death has occurred, and then they're going to distribute to the beneficiaries. But the beneficiaries, they don't get to know who the other beneficiaries are. They only get to know what they get. That's the beauty of that type of contract.
Got you.
Well, what happens is, how many people, are you guys married? Any of you married?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Yeah. So married people think they got it all figured out. Single people, they know they ain't got it figured out, and they still ain't did nothing, which is even more of a problem. But but still,
facts.
Dang, we didn't use that enough.
So in your married situation, if you own everything jointly, do you own everything? Okay, a lot of African Americans. Let me bag it up.
Ooh, hold on. Let me get Oprah in my seat.
Right. So a lot of times people in our community, in our culture, we have separate accounts with one joint account.
Well, it just kind of, so for us, it's like certain situations are better for me to apply for without her.
Right.
And certain situations are better for her to apply for without me.
Right.
Like, for instance, our cars are in her name, but our house is in my name.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But like, we don't have like separate accounts. Like, our account is the same account.
Okay, so your bank accounts and stuff are all joint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, outside of my business account.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Okay, so what happens in our community, especially in the African American community, you'll find that most of the people that are married, they have their own separate accounts and they have one joint account for like household expenses.
That's how I thought it was supposed to be.
Exactly.
I ain't married, but I
do you really feel like that's how it's supposed to be, though?
No, I don't feel like that's how
me either.
That's how it was.
I thought that's how I had it in my head, though. Like,
No,
you got one
not.
joint account where y'all, decide where,
Where did you learn that?
I don't know.
Do your parents like that?
Maybe, I guess. Yeah, maybe. I think so. Gotta be.
Yeah.
Right?
No, they don't have to be. It's
I don't
just
I'm
think my
saying
daddy even had a bank
that
account
gotta
back
be
then.
where it come from.
Yeah,
you know what I
usually
mean?
it does. It is.
Yeah.
Because most people in the other majority race, when they're married, everything is joint.
Yeah.
And so what happens?
That feel a little scary, don't it? Or maybe it's
But
me.
why though?
Probably because I ain't married.
Really quick.
Probably because I ain't found my
Really
person
quick.
yet. That's all I'm
That's
saying.
probably what it is.
I
But
think
you be
that
in my
might be
head,
what
I'm
it
like-
Or
is.
it's
But I
trauma.
hear people say that all the time, and I'm like, how does that make any sense though? Like, what are you scared of? Like, if you marry this person, you already saying that you want to be with this person for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So what are you really saying?
I don't know. I think they could
he's
just
on
get
the
up
couch. You
and
need to turn and address him.
Yeah.
Like, are
I'm
you
not
scared?
married.
Are you scared to like that she gonna be spending your money or something?
No,
Like, or
no, I
like,
don't even think
or
it's
that she
that.
get to see what you paying for and
Nope,
stuff? Because
nope.
you can get a play around account too.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if
I
you
don't
really
think it's
wanted
that,
to,
because I want my shorty to
'cause-
know. I just feel like if everything joined, if she's like, you know what, listen,
She could take all the money. You're right. If she, that's
but
where
you
you're going.
could too.
That's true. Yeah.
You could too.
Yeah.
I
See,
could for sure. I could too.
Yeah.
Just like us, like it work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm not, you know what I mean? So,
but that's what I'm saying,
I was
bro.
just like, all
if you
of them
trust me
joint-
like that, then you know what I'm
Right.
saying.
So
like,
I'll probably be
your
cool. I
wife,
just
you'll
ain't
be
there
like,
yet.
yeah,
Yeah, you ain't
but
there
but
yet.
also you can get a prenup, bro.
There you go.
I'm gonna trust, right?
You know
Ain't
what I'm
that better
saying?
than
Before-
that?
Okay,
We gonna hop
we're
in there.
gonna
Yeah.
talk about we gonna talk about trust.
But that is weird though about that though. Like that is
How
a
people
weird.
think about- I
'cause
literally
all
thought
of my
that.
friends, that's what they do. They got
swear.
where they pay the rent or they pay the mortgage
In a joint
Tone,
account.
in the
did you
joint
do
account
that?
or the bills.
Did you do that? Have one account like that was joint, and then
You was married? Nah, he wasn't
okay,
married.
yeah,
Nah,
yeah,
before
okay,
we was
okay.
married. Actually, we actually had a joint account before we was married. We actually did.
you ain't never had a joint account,
Yeah.
Tone?
Yeah, I did though.
For the business?
I did have one with.
Oh, okay, okay,
A lady of yours.
okay, okay.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't. So in our community, they don't.
Right.
Even though they may love each other. So what ends up happening is when you're married, if you don't own everything jointly, people think it all goes to the spouse under our law. In Indiana, it does not. The law says if you're married and say you have an account, so the play money account, if you died, it goes 50% to your spouse, 50% to the kids.
Oh, snap.
So our default is not 100% to the spouse.
Unless you have something to protect them.
Unless you have it either a plan to say how it goes, or if it's jointly owned, or you have a beneficiary. Because if it's jointly owned, it's hers the minute a death occurs. So in my stories, I know there's only fellas in the room. Y'all gonna die first in these stories. Do what you want, but you're gonna die first in my stories. Okay. So, it is what it is. The statistics the odds are in our favor.
It is. That's why life insurance is cheaper for y'all. That's crazy.
Right. Exactly.
But
So,
go ahead.
so when it comes to our state statute, when you're married, it doesn't default to the spouse. If you're in blended families, that's a big thing too, because a lot of people get divorces, right?
Yeah.
And then they get married, or they get together with someone else, whether they're married or not. But let's talk about if they're married. Indiana says everything's split 50-50, just like if they were had kids together. But if they have no children together, and say they have a house, exactly the example that you're using, you put the house solely in your name. Say you and your wife don't have any kids together, but you each have kids separately.
Right.
If you died with the houses in your name, your kids get the house.
She don't
his
get
wife.
nothing.
She only gets 25% of the equity in the house. So
So
your
it's like
kids can
real,
evict her.
real. Right.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So imagine blended
And
families.
that should be happening. Yeah, I mean, I done been through
A
probate
lot of
cases
families are blended.
where
Yeah.
that has happened though, where they like, nah, it actually goes to the son.
Yeah, it does.
And she thought it was hers. Like
It's not hers.
I have done deals like that, bro. Remember, I used to do a lot of probates. I told you.
Yeah, so
That
and
that
that's
happened.
and that's the reason, because
That's wild.
if they had kids together, it would have been 50-50 because it was solely in his name.
Right.
So everything's 50-50.
But if it's a kid from out of the,
If
which
no
kind
joint-
of, like you like,
What
does
if
it
the
really?
kid
What
is 6?
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's this kid's house. Now,
Are you asking the kid like, "Hey, little Johnny, do you want to evict her?
No.
She wasn't that nice to you."
Well,
was she?
no, well,
it's
wanna
gonna
get
go
her up
to
outta
the
here?
next person, their
Right.
guardian,
Their
right?
It's
guardian.
gonna be the kid's guardian or the kid's mama,
Which was
Which
the
is
ex.
There you go.
Get you
Follow
up
the
outta
story.
here.
Yeah. She getting him out, right?
Oh,
Yes,
that-
ma'am. You thought you was slick, but
Right.
not
Yeah,
today.
Not today, right?
You're done.
This payback.
That's
but
hilarious.
What? That's crazy.
So a lot of sometimes people think, oh, well, I raised him or her or whatever. But what happens is the family drama gets in the way, and
Yeah.
then they all fall out, and then next thing you know, the kids is evicting the wife.
Wow.
Yeah, so it gets real real
Sticky.
crazy.
Yeah.
So what's like some of the craziest stories that you done had?
Oh,
Give me
my
a story.
God. I
A
have
probate
so many.
estate.
We didn't have
story.
people forge.
Give me some, Jennifer. I gotta hear it. Give me
had-
one
we
from
didn't-
here. Give me one.
We didn't have people forge people's signatures. I didn't have people forge wills by like trying to change paragraphs, but they didn't do, in school you had to outline like A, B, C, indent 1, 2, 3,
Right.
indent, little I. They didn't know how to do that.
And they just
And they messed. And I caught it. I'm like, this ain't flowing. And then the
Right.
fonts were off. So then you looked at the fonts and they didn't match 100%.
and that's low key a federal charge, ain't it?
It ain't federal, but it is definitely a crime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when, but you have to be able to prove they did it. That's the only thing.
Right.
Now, of course, they're the ones presenting the will, so you can assume, okay, they probably did it, but you can't really prove it unless you, dig in there. But essentially, I've had that. I've had just today, matter of fact, on our team call, one of my my team member, my paralegal said that a lady called in. She's a beneficiary under an estate, and she's ready for the money. And this other lady is running it because the lady that died didn't have any kids. And all these people don't really know each other, right? Because it's such a, I don't know, they must not be a real close family. I don't know. I don't get into the logistics of all that. But
exactly.
essentially, the lady, the beneficiary that wants the money now, called in faking like she was the lady that is our client over the estate, and she was dipping in and out of character. So
how'd she do it? Just like what? No, I mean, well, wait a minute.
No way.
That's fine.
Yeah,
We're gonna handle it.
I don't know how to go. I got to go back to listen to the call because our calls are recorded for training purposes, internal or whatever. But essentially, she's calling, playing like she's the woman over the estate because she wants her money now.
Right.
And so. But our team, we already know. We talked to this lady. We know her
already,
voice.
yeah.
But she had gotten, I think, my law clerk, so she wasn't as familiar with the voice.
Yeah.
But we talk. It's not like we going to operate and go
Exactly.
without each other. So
Yo, that's wild.
yeah. So I ain't never had anybody call, try to fake, they
Act like somebody else.
But yeah, so.
How did they feel like they was going to get away with that? That's
She
crazy.
did it like on AT&T or something. Like, he on a
Exactly.
Yeah, but not gonna cut no real checks. But yeah, so somebody that just literally happened today.
That's crazy.
And
But tell me about that though. Like, so what's the best way of going about planning, and what are the benefits of estate planning? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if you are married, if you're not married, I mean.
Okay, so it just depends. I always tell people, when you're thinking about a plan, an estate plan, you need to think about the beneficiaries. They're the ones that are going to be receiving the money. Now, there's also a period, don't forget about what if you became disabled, right? So you always need powers of attorney for yourself, health and financial, even if you're married. Because if you try to call in about your 401k, or say you tried to call the government or call any hospital or something like that, they're not going to speak to your spouse, your girlfriend, none of that. They're only going to speak to you unless you have a financial power of attorney or a healthcare power of attorney, depending on if you're calling a financial institution or a healthcare institution. So you always want to make sure you have powers of attorney, because I've had people come to me and they got a will, but they didn't get the powers of attorney.
Right.
And most people are living longer, but not necessarily better. So you want to make sure you have those documents, whether you're married or single.
Right.
But when you're looking at the beneficiaries, this goes back to your question about, okay, should it do a will or a trust, right? So those are the two avenues that you're going down. If you don't like the state statute, so if you don't like how the statute's dividing the money, right, then you have to get a plan that has instructions that says how it should be divided.
Okay.
So if you go get a will, what a will is it's a set of instructions that tells your property where to go. So you might say, all to my spouse. You may say, you have children?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
What you got going on? Like, who would you leave to?
Hey, we working on it in the future. At some point.
He got nieces right now.
Okay,
I got 6 of them.
Okay, so who would you leave? Who would, if something happened to you?
My sister.
Okay.
My sister. I probably
So
leave to my
if you
sister.
wanted to, if something happened to you, the default for you when someone is single with no children, not married, the default is your parents and your siblings equally. So if you didn't want to go to all of them, then you would need to do some type of estate plan to say just to my sister. Does that make sense? So if you got a will, what a will says is, okay, I'm going to my sister. Yours could say, oh, I don't want to split it between my spouse and my kids. I want to go all to my spouse, right? So you feel like you're in more control because then you're telling the money where to go. And you're also picking who does the work.
This is on a will. You're
on
saying.
a will.
Okay.
And you're also picking who does the work. That's why they're called your personal representative, right? Now, there are two things, though, about wills that most people don't know. And the first is wills only control things in your individual name. So when people have life insurance, retirement plans, beneficiaries, joint ownership on accounts, your will can't control those policies because they're contractually already spoken for. You already put a beneficiary, you put an owner on that account, right? And the minute a death occurred, it already transferred out of your
transferred.
Yes, it already transferred. So a will only controls something like that stray bank account, your play money, some of these, if you're in crypto, like they don't sometimes let us put beneficiaries on it, like it'll control those things that are solely in your name, right? The second thing is, so if you wanted, say, a bank account to go to a specific person, you didn't want to go to your spouse, you have to sever that joint ownership, meaning take all the money out of the account, like you said, and put it in a separate account.
Look at me. He gonna be doing some dirty shit.
Right?
Exactly.
Like,
You're right. Go ahead.
Okay, he's following that. So
Just don't marry her in the first place,
right,
man.
there
That's
you go.
all I'm gonna tell you.
Give him some good advice.
I'm gonna just tell you that.
That's why I'm still here.
I'll tell you about that later.
That's why I'm still here.
Y'all, that's who you need to get next in here. Somebody, we got to get on the couch.
Right.
So essentially, when you, so like I said, with a will, you have to sever that joint ownership if you want the instructions to control. The second thing, all wills go through probate. Most people don't know that. You know how you see on the internet people say, "Oh, well, if
you have a will,
if you had a will, it wouldn't happen." No, if he would have had a will, the same thing would have happened.
Exactly.
Because all the will does is tell the judge, "Don't follow the default." You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because the default is the default, and
right.
if you don't like it, you get the will to say, "Judge, don't follow it." So all wills go through probate. So when you see people say, "Oh, he should have got a will," it would have never changed the outcome.
Exactly. Still would have went to court.
It still would have went to court, but at least we would have known who to give it to, right? Unless someone's arguing about.
It would have been the will makes it easier going through probate.
Correct.
Now
Correct.
tell me this. Oh, go ahead.
It's the trust.
Okay.
Yeah, hold up. Before you go to the trust. So even with the will, couple questions. If you have a will and say, for instance, the personal representative that you put on there, say you did it 30 years ago, you know what I'm saying? The personal representative that you put on there, I know that they have to go through they have to fill out paperwork and stuff so that they say, "Oh, this is your level of education and this is this or whatever." And then the judge has to approve them still, right?
Yes.
Even if you have a will though?
Yeah, so you fill out an application. So back in the day, we used to have a hearing where you talk to the judge and make sure you qualify.
Right.
Now it's just an application.
Yeah.
You tell me your name, where
Exactly.
you work, did you graduate high school, can you manage finances,
Right.
have you committed a crime or felony or et cetera, et cetera.
Now say they find out that this person, all right, they was cool at first, but now they're a sting.
Well,
They're a crackhead.
Well, that's
so. Like I sound like Judge Mathis. He said,
Yeah.
he said, I deal with people like you a crackhead. Nah, seriously. But now they find out, okay, they on crack now. They done been in trouble 5-6 times.
Then somebody
You know what I'm
has
saying?
to speak up. So one of the beneficiaries or a family member who sees it and they're concerned, they would have to speak up because the court doesn't know.
Okay.
Like we're not doing background checks on everybody. That's why you're swearing under penalties of perjury,
Right.
right? And so what ends up happening is with the personal representative, you have backups.
Okay.
So you may list one and then you'll have like 2 or 3
okay.
backups,
Okay.
right,
Yeah.
in your plan.
That makes
okay?
sense.
Now, if you have minor children, you still need a will for the guardian. So
Right.
who will raise your children if you couldn't do so for yourself?
Exactly. Guardianship.
But what a guardian does is they make the legal decisions about the child. Like, oh, I want my child, he can live with his auntie, but I'm in
Right.
charge. They can go
Okay.
to this school. They can play this game. You know what I mean? They're in charge of the legal decision.
Okay.
But when you do a will, you have trust underneath it, right? Because they're minors, so they can't own the money.
Right.
So you can separate who runs the money from who runs the legal, like their legal decisions.
Okay.
And so sometimes when people are like, man, I don't want my baby daddy or my baby mama, coming in. Well,
Yeah.
if you separate the money, they might not come, right? Because a lot of times they're coming because
of the money is there. Yeah.
So if you separate the two, then you can. But a trust under a will is called a testamentary trust.
Okay.
I mean, we have to go through probate.
Testamentary trust.
Come on, you didn't went to church Bible, right? Last will and testament. Testamentary.
Testamentary. But the menery part. The menery.
Come on. Rebound quickly.
Menery.
No, just kidding.
Second question off of that, though.
Like an executorist. What you
Executress.
Executress.
Yeah,
What's
that's the female. Yeah.
right? I get it.
Yeah.
I'm
But
just saying.
the second question off of that is, say, for instance, you choose a personal representative, you have a will. Can you tell them like what you say has to go? Like,
Yes,
say, for
absolutely.
instance, you like, all right, I got this personal representative. I'm leaving 100,000, but I'm giving 50 here, 25 here, and 25 here. Do they have to do
Yes,
what you
they
say
have
on
to
that
do
will?
exactly what you
Okay.
tell them.
Okay.
Now, but the beneficiary doesn't.
Right, because
So-
that's already a
'Cause
contractual.
because it's theirs.
Right.
So
That's
like
who
if-
it's going to.
Whoever you give it to in a will, they put it in their bank accounts, their investment accounts,
And they can
all
do
under
whatever
this.
they want
and
to
they can
after
do whatever
they get it.
want. So if you don't so when people talk about generational wealth, most money is spent, like 70% of the wealth is spent in the first generation, 90% is spent in the second. So most people's money is not passing from one generation to the next. So most people are not experiencing generational wealth. Even if they are saving up generations of wealth, your families are not experiencing it because the people blow through the money as soon as they inherit it,
Right.
which leads to the trust.
But
Right.
So how do
slowly but surely
you
let it leak.
combat that? How do you
So-
make sure that continues to keep
So if you
passing on?
wanna control it, right? That's where the trust comes in. So we always leave money in trust for minor kids But then the attorneys always say, at what age can the kid get the money? And you'll see it'll say 18, 21, 25 or 21, 25, 30. When you see that we're phasing checks, giving checks out of the trust, and they're putting in their bank account and they're blowing through it. And so by the time and there's nothing left. However, what you can do is you can do the concept, what most people talk about. There are over 120 something, hundreds of trusts, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm going to talk to you about the most common one, the one that most people do, which is the revocable living trust.
I've heard
That's what we got.
Okay. A revocable living
Or
trust.
irrevocable, I think.
No, okay. I'm about to tell you the difference.
Maybe.
It should, no, you got revocable. A revocable trust is the one that you can change as long as you're alive.
Yeah.
Right? You're the trust maker because you created the rules. You're the trustee, you the boss, right? And it doesn't become irrevocable until a death occurs, meaning your last words are locked in stone. It does not mean the trust can't change. So people get that twisted. They think, oh, it's irrevocable. It's cemented in stone. It's not. If you put flexible words in the trust. When you get an irrevocable trust, that's different. An irrevocable trust is a trust that typically high net worth individuals are setting up irrevocable trusts to move money out of their estate so that if a death occurs, the federal government is not levying an estate tax.
That's what I think we got.
That's
what we got.
But if you got an irrevocable trust, you can't be the trustee.
Yeah,
we can't be. We're not.
So you can be the beneficiary while you're alive, but you have to ask someone else for permission for your money.
Hold on, wait, run that back.
I want to say that's the case, though.
When it's an irrevocable trust, someone else is running the money.
Because for us to set up the bank accounts, we have to get...
It's an irrevocable public trust is what we got. And a private. I'm going to let you see.
You got to look at them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look at it because it sounds like some shit.
Nah, it's solid, though. It's solid. It's solid, though. Nah, it's solid.
Didn't an attorney dried up?
It's solid, yeah.
Say that again.
Yeah, exactly. The private one is the one that you keep and just make, contract law or whatever. That
don't even sound right, but I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, let me just tell y'all.
Jennifer.
Okay, somebody done sold y'all a widget and y'all should have paid that to me.
Hold on.
We got it for free.
Hold on.
Oh, well, then
Hold on.
You pay for what you get.
Hold on. Wait a minute. We got
free?
some questions. Wait a minute. Let me look in the camera.
Okay.
Well, you got some
Hold
questions.
on real quick.
Hey, you want to call him? You want to call him on the
You
show?
need to call him because if you
You want to put him on the show? You want to pull him on the show? We can hook it up right here. On the Bluetooth.
Okay, but let me
let her explain it first.
Let me get the facts out to y'all first.
We about to get it.
Okay, so listen. So a revocable living trust is a trust that you can change while you're alive. Okay.
Right.
When you do a trust, I'm gonna make sure everybody hear me clearly. Trusts can avoid probate. Does not mean they will. Okay. With a trust, you have to retitle all your assets today in the name of the trust. I have a trust. I have a revocable living trust. My bank account doesn't say Jennifer Norton. It says Jennifer Norton Living Trust dated June 24th of 2010. My investment accounts, Jennifer Norton Living Trust. The beneficiaries on my life insurance policy, Jennifer Norton Living Trust. The deeds to my house, I own my house, right? But the mortgage is just a lien on it. So if I sell it, I get paid back. They get paid back first. Y'all know that. Yeah. Most of the public doesn't know that necessarily. They think, I don't own my house. The bank owns my house. No, you own your house. So your deed, I'm telling you, I have to tell everybody that.
My bad.
So
people do say that. That annoys me.
Yeah. So you own your house. So the deed, I update the deed to reflect the name of my trust. My businesses. So I have multiple LLCs. And
the trust owns those.
No, the LLC owns the business. My ownership interest in my business is coordinated with my trust, either through I updated the operating agreement to reflect the name of my trust.
Like that's the member. The member on the LLC agreement is the trust?
It depends. If some, like franchisees, like if you have a Culver's or something like that and stuff like some agreements restrict you from updating the operating agreement. So if you're restricted, then you have to do an assignment, which is a separate standalone document that says, I assign all my rights, title, and interest in this LLC to the trust.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, good. So we do an assignment for your business, right?
Okay.
Now, if you retitle all of your assets into the name of the trust, then your trust can avoid probate. It will avoid probate because the court sees a trust like a contract, just like life insurance and retirement plans.
Okay.
Because think of a trust is nothing but a stack of papers, and we're taking the name of the stack and putting it on all the accounts. So whatever instructions we put in this stack of papers can control all those assets, right? Now, if you, however, leave too much outside of the trust, Because when you put things in trust, it's called fund the trust, funding. You have to fully fund the trust. But say you have that stray money, that little play money account. You forget to put it in the trust. You forget to change the ownership, or you forget to put a beneficiary, the trust as the beneficiary. So when the death occurs, it's outside the trust. When you get a trust, you still get a will. It's known as a pour over will. It says, if I forget something outside the trust, go get it and pour it over to my trust where all my terms are. Because remember, wills are public, so anybody can see what's in the will because it's with the court. But when you do a trust, the will doesn't say anything, but I have a trust,
Right.
To try and keep it private, right?
Yep.
But you have to go through. Remember, all wills go through probate. So if in Indiana, if you leave more than, as of July 1st of 2023, if you leave more than $100,000 outside of the trust with no joint ownership, no beneficiary, and we have to use the will to pour it over to the terms of the trust, then the entire estate can go through probate. Even though we're only probating one asset, but you're opening it up to all the creditors.
But that happens, so you may get a trust and may put certain things inside the trust, but don't, you just don't get around to it just because that's tedious work.
Yes.
And you still end up going to probate anyway.
And that's what people don't
They forget.
Yeah, they don't know that. They think I just got a stack of papers and it's a trust and I'm done. But then when they come to my office, I'm like, and I got some high net worth clients, like some athletes, I got some celebrities, and I'm like,
who you got?
I can't tell that. I turn client privilege. But when they come in, I'll be like, hey.
I tried it.
I'll say, hey, you got trust. Tell me what's on your bank account. What names on your bank account? What names on your businesses?
Michael Jordan.
It don't say nothing. No. It'll be just their name. Hey, I can help you. No, it'll be just their name. It doesn't even say the trust. So guess what? Their entire estate will go through probate.
Yeah.
And so what happens is a lot of people have trust, and what the people told them is, if you get a trust, you won't go through probate. No, if you get a trust and you don't retitle your assets, you're definitely going through probate. And most people will.
That's a gem right there. I did not know that.
Yeah. So when you get a trust, like you say, you got to stay on top of it all the way till the death. And because
that's a lot of work. That's because it's always changing, especially high net worth people.
But if you got high net worth people, bro, you gotta have that executive assistant do that shit, man.
For
like,
sure.
I'm just saying, like, hey, can you just make sure I take care of this?
People
I can't see it. Yeah,
that's not like,
because like think about right now,
money in a lot of different ways.
You probably got $1,000 somewhere right now, bro. That's out there where you like. But just think if you had 10 times the amount of money that you got right now, that $1,000 might be $100,000. It might not seem that much to you, but now that just puts you in jeopardy of your whole entire estate.
And every state is different. So some states it's 25,000.
Right.
Sometimes some states it's 10. Indiana before July 1st of 2023, it was 50,000. So they went up because most people's wealth is in their house, their real estate.
Right.
And
it wasn't in the trust.
And the good thing about when you do trust-based planning, the attorneys will do the deed because they realize the public can't do the deed.
Right.
But everything else, like I'm already saying, the bank accounts, investment accounts, they get tired. You know what I mean? Or it gets rejected.
Yeah.
And then they be like, I'll just do that next week. I'm going on vacation. And so you look up, and that's why people don't have everything in the trust. Hence why we in our practice have a maintenance program. Because we're going to make sure your assets, every year we look at your assets and make sure that everything is coordinated.
Jennifer, now you talking that talk now.
Yeah.
Talking that talk now. Okay.
Looking for my wallet, man. I need to go ahead and get her on retainer. Nah, I just seriously, man. I'm
so what comes within the maintenance? What is that? The maintenance program?
So our maintenance program, what we're doing is when the laws change. So let me take it another. I'm going to take 2 steps. Let me tell you 2 more things about a trust.
Okay.
And you're not going to find these in forms, and you're not going to find this with a non-attorney because they ain't smart enough. I paid $100,000 for this degree. I don't know what they paid, but I know that we ain't equal. Okay, so the thing that I do know.
That was deep.
The thing that I do know.
Oh my God.
Hey, sometimes you got to pop your collar because they are thinking we equal and we are not equal. Like nowhere near.
Facts.
Okay, so when it comes to...
Hey, I'm glad you came on here talking your talk.
Time out. We too hot in here. We too hot. We got to let it calm down, bro. Phone too hot.
But really, though.
No. Go ahead.
So when it comes to a trust, okay, so the first gem, like you said, you got to retitle everything. The second gem is this. When you get a trust, there are 2 ways to draft the terms. Most people have the basic terms that replicate a will, meaning when the death occurs, just imagine you got trust. We put everything in it. We funded the trust. So we're going to avoid probate. Well, if we look to the terms of the trust, if the terms say give the money to you outright free of trust, that means you can put that money in your bank account, your investment account, but all under your Social Security numbers. So if you have lawsuits, creditors, divorces, then your estate is available to that creditor. Your estate's tied to your Social Security number. So imagine if your parents left you assets and they did a trust and they gave it outright, and then you get a divorce, you get in a bad car accident, and you owe, and they sue your estate, and you don't have the liability protection to protect it, they can come after you personally, which means the inheritance
they're going to take all the inheritance.
Absolutely. So, and that's how most people's trusts are drafted. And those are how the forms online that you guys love to pay thousands of dollars for, but don't want to come pay me thousands of dollars. That's okay. But you'll see me eventually on the other side when it comes to probate.
Trying to
right?
fight for him.
Yeah, right. So I always say,
help me.
You better pay me. You better off paying me up front than later.
And doing that
pay me now,
maintenance.
pay me later. It don't matter. But you know what happens is the other way that you can do a trust is the way that we recommend, and so do my really good friends that do trust-based planning, which is you can leave assets in trust for generations. That's why we know about the Rockefellers and all these wealthy families that have left money in trust. Well, those are called accumulation trusts, or I'm not even going to get too technical on you, but essentially what happens is when a death occurs, if you give the money to the beneficiary, it goes in their bank accounts, the IRS can track it, right? That's what they want to do. They want to be able to track the money and make money. If you leave assets in trust, the IRS says, well, hold up, how are we going to track this money? So we got to go get an EIN, just like your LLCs, a federal employee identification number. I always say it's like a little trustlet. So say you have 3 kids, we have 3 trustlets, 3 different EINs on their inheritances. So imagine you have a bank account. Say you have a bank account, a retirement account, life insurance, retirement. When you die, your kids are going to consolidate, and you got a house. We're going to consolidate all that, sell the house, turn it all into cash, right? And then what we're going to do is or if it's retirement, we'll split the accounts. But essentially, they're going to set up one bank account, one investment account, and one, they might have a retirement account. And even though you may have had 3 life insurance policies, 3 bank accounts, they're consolidating.
To one.
To one.
Compressing.
And so it's going to say child 1 irrevocable, because it became irrevocable. Irrevocable trust with not the child's Social Security number, with the EIN. So if they go get lawsuits, if they
it's
go
not
get
them.
it's not them, because if they have,
So you're keeping the same thing that you had. Now they keeping the same thing.
it's
going,
only
it's
its own entity.
So
Hey,
so that's
wild.
different from so what's that called? Accumulation.
So it's
trust?
like an accumulation trust. Like when you're allowing the assets to accumulate, they're like you're leaving it in trust.
That makes sense. So is that different from a revocable trust?
Well, no, because the revocable living trust started out you under your social.
Then irrevocable once you pass.
Once you pass, it became because your Social Security number died.
Right.
And you're not running the money anymore. You left it in trust.
Okay.
It has its own EIN, and you picked who runs the money. If you have minors, you might have to pick who runs the money, right?
So how you get to the accumulation? I understand what the accumulation is, but do you need to file anything?
You have to have certain language in your trust.
Oh, okay.
To show that you've held it in trust.
But
if you go look at your trust, 9 times out of 10, you'll see that it says pass the money outright free of trust. When you see outright free of trust, think no asset protection.
Exactly.
You want to leave assets in trust because then it has the EIN.
And then you got the protection still because it's not you. It's separating between
It's separate.
So, okay, now we about to get a little bit more advanced. We about to get a little bit more advanced for the people that really think they know, right? Because I don't know, but you're going to be able to follow me at least.
I am.
So I hear that it's the way that you can have this Rockefeller method of being able to have your own family bank, and be able to. Okay, see, just let me finish it out, though. Just let me finish it out. Where you can fund it still, just for lack of a better word. Hold on, just let me say it for the people, okay? Let me say it for the people.
We need to stop telling this stupid ass story.
Damn,
So go ahead.
All right, so basically the gist is, and I may be getting some stuff wrong here, y'all. I'm not an attorney. Clearly, I didn't pay $100,000 for it. We are different.
Yeah. That was no shade on you. You're
Facts.
You're not trying.
Facts.
You're not trying to sell it. You just trying to be a recipient.
I'm just trying to understand. Here we go.
Be a smart consumer.
So basically, the word on the street is that you can, start a trust. You can put all your stuff in there, life insurance, assets, all that type of stuff, and then when you pass away, that actually is able to get funded to the next generation, and then they can tax-free, and then they can borrow from that trust if they want to go in, build businesses and different things like that.
Part of it makes sense, don't it?
And then they die, and then you.
So we ain't sure die. Yeah, look.
We got some. I'm talking about the borrowing effect of where you can borrow from the trust instead of from like going to a bank.
But
you can have a family bank.
Listen, no,
you know what I mean.
We don't have to be a family like that, right? Because they're not all gonna agree. And y'all trying to run a trust like a business.
Right.
A trust is not a business.
Right.
Because
and most likely they not all going to agree.
Exactly. So stop trying to do that. What happens is, but it is a little bit of truth in that. So when you leave an inheritance in trust, right, and it's protected, if the beneficiary pulls the money and goes and uses it, it's left the protected state and it's unprotected if they had an issue, right? Say they pulled $100,000, they wanted to go do whatever the case may be, $50,000, whatever. And then it goes south and somebody's now after them for the money. They're going to, if they already spent the money, they're going to come after them personally for their own personal assets, right? So there's no protections. But with a trust, what you can do is when I leave an inheritance to my son, if he needs the money, the trust will loan him the money. And then he can pull the money out, and in its place is a note. So then if he did have a lawsuit or some type of creditor, the trust is a first in line creditor of his estate, because at the time we did the note, we didn't know he had a creditor. You see what I'm saying? So it's not fraudulent.
Exactly.
So then what happens is if he has a creditor, a divorce, a lawsuit, before you pay that money to the divorce, you got to pay me first. I'm the first creditor. So you can put the money back into the trust
to pay
it, but you're not using it like a bank. Like that's not how you use the trust.
So you can't. That's not a way. That's not a savvy.
It can be.
You know what I mean? A way to.
But you have to do it the right way.
It's just got to be what's the right purpose, right? So you're pulling all the inheritance out, and first of all, your parent has to let you. Right, we didn't talk about the beauty of leaving assets in trust is you can control the wealth. So we talked about how the money never makes it from one generation to the next. Well, what a lot of my clients do is they'll put stipulations. They'll say, when you inherit the money, you only have access to interest only, no principal. Because money typically doubles every 9 years. So when I tell people when they're trying to get an estate plan, you need to think if you died in the next 2 years. That'll help you make decisions quicker, because you're never going to get every contingency in in your trust or in your will. If you keep waiting around till you get all the contingencies filled out, you'll never get a plan, because you're never going to solve all those things.
Say that again, because I feel like that's even was my problem too. It was just like, shoot, like I got so much that I feel like I want to do with it, but it's like, now it's been 3 years already.
Exactly. So what you just,
you know what I'm saying?
All you got to do is say, okay, I'm gonna do an estate plan, and I'm just gonna imagine if I died in the next 2 years, how do I want that to play out? Who are the backups? Because you want to build succession, like right. So what ends up happening is when I do my plan, let's just do the math. So I have an 11-year-old son. And if I died, for easy math, just say my estate's $1 million. Okay, when he becomes, so he's 11, and when he becomes, add 9, when he becomes 20, then that 1 becomes $2 million. When he becomes 29, that
2 becomes 4.
2 becomes 4. When he goes from 29 to 38, 4 becomes $8 million. Right?
But if they was taking loans out of it, trying to start their own all-star business
you ruined all the compounding.
You done messed everything up.
Because people don't realize how quickly money compounds.
Yeah.
And so what happens is when you leave money in trust for children, instead of phasing those checks out at 18, 21, 25, and it's leaving that protected state for the unprotected state, what you can do is you can phase access in. So if you imagine a plane, what I did for my son is, while he's under the age of 22. I picked 22. You can pick whatever age you want. I picked 22 because boys mature. Sorry, guys. Slower. Your mind.
You gonna stop? Hey, you gonna stop saying this now?
Sorry, guys. Hey, this is scientific.
I was mature. Hey.
I'm not making nothing up. This is all
Facts.
scientific.
Hey, don't. Hey.
This It's all scientific. I ain't putting nothing on y'all don't deserve, okay?
They be treating dudes wrong, man. We get the end of the boot, man,
Listen,
these days.
nobody
real.
said you could.
Especially men. I really, hey, hold up real quick, though. I know you're not doing this, but to the listeners out there, I'm over here holding a pillow while I'm saying this.
He's sad about it. He's sad, real sad. You need a hug.
Hey, man, us real men these days, for real, dominant men these days is getting treated dirty, man. They giving us the other leg of the boot, man, and it don't feel good. I'm just letting everybody know that.
Listen, but you can be the exception.
Dang.
You know, you just got to find a way to be the exception.
That's crazy.
But essentially,
Can't be kings no more.
Well, yeah, you can. While he's under the age of 22, I picked who runs the money, right? So I picked who I want to run the money.
Okay.
Think of him as sitting in the back of the plane. At 22, then he can come to the front of the plane. Now, he could be going to the meetings, learn about financial stuff, but his name doesn't really get on the accounts until 22. He can actively participate at 22, but he's there with the people I picked. So he has to be able to convince one of them that what he's want to do is a good thing or beneficial.
Right. That's his only way to have power.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then from 22, I picked 40 because the world's wealthiest individuals in this country didn't believe their children were ready to run their own finances till 40. And I always tell people, think about when you hit your financial stride. Most people are not going to say until in their 30s. Most people will say, oh, I was 30, I was 32, I was 35. You know what I mean? That's when I felt like I got my stuff together. But yet you see people leaving money to their kids in their 20s. But they're not putting their own wisdom even in their own plan because they're accepting forms. And so what happens is...
She keep going back to them forms.
Hey, you do what you do. I don't, but whatevs, you know. So what ends up, by the time that he's 40, he can press eject on his co-pilot, right? But he's already in the air, so it's my map, right?
Hold up. That was hard.
That was hard. You done did this before
that was
a few
hard.
times.
Listen,
we are talking about, what did you say, the chair of... What are you the chair of again?
Oh, I'm the vice chair of the National Bar Association's Trust and Estates.
So
section.
she's not just talking.
What
she
else?
is different.
I am when I leave here, I'm also the president of the Marion County Citizens Police Complaint Board. So when people complain about the police, we're the Civilian Review Board.
I got something about them because, look...
Well, give me the number. I'll get
I'm
you to my
about
executive
tired
director.
Of, no, I'm just...
You can file your complaint. But no, I'm on a lot of stuff. I'm on the CICF, the Central Indiana Community Foundation. I'm on their senior fund board. We give out $1 million a year for not-for-profit organizations that help seniors. I mean, I'm on a lot of stuff. I'm on the African American Legacy Fund in Indiana. We try to fund black, boards that are led by black people, majority black people that help black issues. Etc.
Jennifer, can we go to some of these charities? Like, where are these dinners at?
Yeah,
Get an invitation or something?
Sure, I'll be happy to put you on all the lists.
I can dress up.
You was at the Afro-American
you was there at the Afro thing at Newfields?
At I don't know. I might have been out of town.
I was there.
You was there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I was there.
I was.
Did you go?
I did.
Did you see my sister there?
I didn't see her.
You was there for real?
Yeah, I was there, but I was taking my kids to the Newfields. I happened to see that. They was right there, so I took a picture,
But there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to get involved
I did.
in.
I said, damn, I wasn't invited to this.
Jennifer, we need them charities, man.
Okay, well, I'll put y'all on the list on some stuff. But to finish the story, but to finish the story, essentially, because he's in the air and he's on my map, and that money doubled to $8 million. Remember, we got him to 38, and it was $8 million. Well, the stock market typically does better than 4%. If you do 4% of $8 million, my son only needs to live on interest only. Why does he need the principal?
Exactly, because he ain't gonna be spending. He gonna be spending it on. And by this time, don't get it wrong. Like, this is if he's flat broke, not doing nothing.
Exactly. He's still gonna be he's gonna contribute to society.
Exactly.
So what you can do is, and this is why I say every 2 years, and why the maintenance program works, because we're going to revisit your plan, right?
Every 2 years?
Yeah, because he's going to grow up, right? He might get affiliated with the right people, the wrong person, get the wrong girl, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be, have influences from his family members that I don't appreciate. And so I can make course corrections on his inheritance, right? As well as who runs the money, because people, like you said, what if they become dope fiends? What if they?
So you are like a GPS, basically.
I am.
Can you do people out of state too?
Yeah. So if you're doing a trust, I can. Certain states you can't, like California, New York, and Florida.
All right.
The person
Dang,
in
not
California
Florida.
that I was talking about.
Well, you got to waive in. So even though I've been practicing 14 years, in certain states, after 10 years, I can waive into the state depending on what the requirements are. But I'm not taking nobody's test anymore. I'm done with it. You know what I mean? Them days is over. Yeah. So usually I can co-counsel one of my colleagues. I'm also on the National Network of Estate Planning of attorneys. I'm on their boards or whatever. So I have colleagues all across the country that I can use their licensing, or I can waive into states if I so choose.
Got you. Real quick, another waiver on another. I said waiver. I'm trying to sound smart, but I used it in the wrong context. But nah, seriously, can you speak to the other myth?
What?
Of like what he how fast he just act like he knew what the hell he was talking about. Talking about, no, I ain't getting no prenup. I'm getting a trust.
Well,
so tell me,
she sounded like she was with me though.
Tell me,
we might be on the same.
Okay, so tell me, is it better to get a trust or a prenup or both, and why?
Okay, so a prenup is while you're alive, right? So that a trust helps protect assets out of death. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're doing an irrevocable trust, even what people don't know is the federal government, child support, and sometimes divorces, they can penetrate trusts.
Oh, really?
Not really divorces. It depends. Like if you're doing if you're trying to deceive, you're moving things into,
right. Then they're catching you because it's like, I see the paper trail.
You're trying to defraud them. You know what I mean? So what happens is there's never a blanket answer for anything.
Okay.
Because in the law, everything moves on a fact. So one fact can throw everybody's fact pattern off, right? That's why I say when you look at what type of planning you look at the beneficiaries. Because some people will say, oh, my beneficiaries, they're good. They're well off. Well, in Indiana, I might tell somebody, well, get a will, but we're not going to use the will. We're not even going to go through probate because Indiana allows us to put beneficiaries on everything. Like in Indiana, we can do a transfer on death deed. Y'all see that on property. That's like putting a beneficiary on real estate. So that the minute death occurs, ownership passed, then they just got to do the affidavit, the heirship or the survivorship affidavit. You can put beneficiaries on cars in Indiana. You can put beneficiaries on LLCs in Indiana. Not every state allows you to put beneficiaries. And then, of course, on bank accounts, life insurance, investment accounts, stocks, bonds, those all allow beneficiaries naturally.
Some of y'all better move to Indiana.
Right, exactly. That's one thing we did get right.
So we can get this real estate up. Man. I know y'all want to buy. Boys from Cali come buy our stuff up for double the price.
Yeah, exactly. And so you really can, if you say, oh, my kids are doing well, I just want to avoid probate, avoid the cost of attorneys, I just want to get it to them, they're going to do fine, they're going to do better than me. We can do beneficiaries on everything that they own, right? But if you are concerned about the beneficiary, you're concerned about the wealth, you want to control how it's used, you don't like the person's spouse, you have a child with special needs, somebody who's disabled, then you might be looking at a trust because you need to control how the money is used, make sure it doesn't disqualify them from governmental benefits. So a trust is all about, or estate planning in general is all about the beneficiaries. Who are they, and what are you trying to do?
Right,
Jennifer, you know what I realized?
What?
You are super smart,
man.
I knew you were just about to say
you
that.
You sitting up here making me
super smart.
You making me feel smarter.
That is unbelievable.
Well,
I feel smarter after today.
Let me ask you this though. Okay. So why is it another myth? Maybe not a myth.
Okay.
Maybe not a myth.
Okay, it might not be. You might have some half truths in there.
maybe some half truths in this one. Why is it so hard to work with attorneys if you're not an attorney and not coming to be a client?
Well, so
like how can other people how do people just add value to attorneys?
Well, okay, so the thing is
to try to build a relationship,
One, you got to like the person. So attorneys, we're not all the same, clearly, right? And some are they've taught in that old regime, right? Where it's just, it's billable hour, come get your stuff, good day. I don't want copies of your stuff, don't come back to me. You know what I mean? This is a transaction. Good day. And then there are there's a trend where people are going more towards the relationship model of working with attorneys because things do change. And it's easier to get your next client through your existing client. So why tell one client you just got good riddance and I'm not going to see you again, when really if I just kept you close, 9 times out of 10 you're going to see your cousin, your mother, your friend, your brother, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of like in real estate, right? When y'all keep those relationships with your buyers and stuff because then they're going to send their friends,
exactly.
etc. So the
Referral
models
based.
are
relationship business.
Absolutely. And so the other reason why people don't like working with attorneys is they're very much known for being deal killers. right? Because they think they know everything, right? I know I don't know everything. I just know estate planning, and I know people that don't know estate planning. I can spot somebody that don't know estate planning,
right?
You know what I mean? But I don't know criminal defense. I leave that to my best friend Katie Jackson Lindsay. I don't know divorce. I don't know. Like, I stay in my lane.
But they think they do, though.
But they think they do, and that's why people don't like working with them.
Yeah, I'd be like,
why did you say that? That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
And what happens is they want to be the person that that told the client, right? Instead of just talking to the professional behind the scenes, y'all come in as a unit and be like, actually, we did some more research and we decided that this was probably the best route, rather than blaming each other, saying, oh, you got it wrong, I got it right, so you need to be listening to me more than you listen to him.
Right.
And so that's why people don't like working with attorneys.
is it just the ego, baby?
It's very much ego. They're type A people. They think they know everything. They want to get it right. They want to be first. It's very much ego.
So what's separate? Because I don't feel like you like a normal attorney.
I know everybody always says that.
Why?
I don't know, because I'm just chill. And so much experience. You're just kind of like, people are fighting over the wrong things.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean like it. It's going to go the way it's going to go, and everything that we give you is a blessing anyways.
Right.
And so, I believe that I'm in my gift. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I will do a lot of things knowing that maybe I don't get anything financially from it, but I'm going to be blessed regardless.
Right.
And so some people don't believe that, or they don't operate in that spirit.
Yeah.
And so guess what? They don't get the same thing.
I like that. And that's real. So I know we want to do one thing.
What?
I know we want to build a relationship with you.
Okay.
I know we want to be able to do some type of potential business.
Absolutely.
I'm doing
it. I just want to figure out how we can do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to real estate, so this is the thing though. One, you already know this, because when you do come
He don't know it. I probably do.
If you about to say anything about commitment or anything like this, me.
Not him.
Oh, wow.
Come on.
He
had to
threw
do
you
that
way under the bus.
He come. I gotta come double as hard. I don't know what he coming back with.
Wow, that was he sliced.
I mean, I'm here though, ain't I?
Yeah.
Just show a little bit of commitment though.
Didn't you be stitched
Nah,
up?
I'm just saying. Show a little bit of commitment that we here. Pause. But I'm saying.
This is the longest standing relationship you've had.
Yes. And if he ever leave me, he gonna leave me on Valentine's Day too. No, I'm not.
Oh wow.
Hey, can I say that?
Oh,
can I say?
Go ahead.
This dude didn't break up with everybody on Valentine's Day.
Wow, you're
It's
really
weird.
Listen, it happened like that. It wasn't supposed to.
Wow.
It just happened like that though. If
you
I
ain't
sit
putting
down
enough good blessings out there. I see.
And then
I
they
swear.
birthday. One of them,
Scoot
their
away.
birthday was on Valentine's Day, I think.
Why are you sitting so close to him? You don't need any of that mojo.
But listen, you hyping him up.
I'm trying to.
I said it can air it out now.
into
Look,
him.
now y'all looking at me all weird and crazy and stuff. Listen, you had to be there. All right, don't believe the hype. Okay?
But no, go ahead. What was you about to say though?
I don't even know. You just threw me at what?
You said something. You probably know this better than he does.
Maybe T, you got to pick up what tag
yeah.
team. Y'all got to tag you
I
in,
was talking
brother.
about-
Finish it.
I was talking about probate. I was saying, so because you do a lot of probate, a lot of attorneys like myself come in for sure in estate planning attorney, because we can get people's names off deeds, right? So whether it's we got to do the airships, we got to do some probates, but we can prepare the deeds. We can do the quick claims, we can do the warranties or whatever you need.
Yeah.
So that's an easy win for working with an estate planning attorney like myself.
Right.
And then two, I mean, most of the families that you're coming across, especially if they're trying to sell stuff like, oh, my loved one's sick, and you know what I mean? So there's easy relationships there, because if they're sick on my end, they're trying to sell a house, I need to have a realtor. If they're sick on your end, do you have powers of attorney to sign this closing paperwork? You know what I mean? Right. So there's plenty of opportunity to work together, because of you're seeing what's going on with the family dynamics.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they're venting like, oh, I need this house because I got little kids, and you know what I mean? And so those are opportunities where you can say, oh, well, do you have a plan? Or if something happens to you, because like I said, the house is the biggest asset for most people. Yeah. So, I mean, imagine your realtor's the one telling you, man, this is your house, you need to protect it. Do you have a estate plan? How many people are saying that?
Right.
You know what I mean? How many people are even going the extra mile to make sure that they can keep this asset that they work so hard for and they're first time home buyers or whatever? So like I did something for the Habitat for Humanity. I did their home buyer program. I did Edna Martin Center's home buyer program. Came in and just talked about this is the main asset.
Yeah.
You need to have a plan for it.
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Jen, I think that's what we want to do. You know, we over the years have built up just an array of tools, right, to be able to help just like, do you got a go-to person right now?
What
For them taking all the heavy lifting off your plate for as far as real estate goes?
I don't have a necessarily go-to person, but my son's father,
Ooh.
he's a real estate. So it's kind of
that's a tough compete, man. I don't know if I can.
But you can spread the love. You know what I mean?
Man, that's a tough one right there.
Spread, but it is hard.
Man, he got
I'm
in.
like, dang, if I give it to you, then my son don't get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
but I can give it. But but really though, sometimes certain personality types work better with certain people.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So I don't say I have a go-to. I have a bunch of realtors that I use and that use me, and I try to, like I said, always feed them back stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like, I'm not a hoarder.
Right. Yeah. So for us, we do like just to explain too, because we do like it doesn't matter really what obviously, you know, we like to, you know, purchase their house and fix it up or flip it or whatever it is, but sometimes it's different. Sometimes they just need a lockbox you know, they want to keep it. They got some money.
Right.
They need the house to be cleaned out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not always like
a sale
right on in. You know, it might be just helping them, and then they just need to just get this all cleared out. We want to have it.
And we need market analysis too. So like when they're trying to like buy amongst the family because they're trying to
exactly. So they may want to, you know, buy through there. So it's a lot. We can help them out in a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you know, I just had to put that out.
I'm no hoarder. I share. Listen, you on the list. Y'all on the list.
We'll bring it back.
Well, we're gonna be in touch.
That was super dope.
That was. We're gonna be in touch a lot here. And like I said, and I know this for our listeners, man, we all got smarter today.
Yeah,
seriously.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
We might have to do a part two.
We can, because there's a lot of stuff I ain't even
or
said.
an event. I think this is event worthy.
This is event worthy.
Because we do have multiple events like a year and stuff like that, and we do bring in people to talk about different stuff, and we haven't brought somebody in to talk about what you talking about, estate planning, etc. And we get a lot of our people in the building, like
especially our community. We done had 300 people on our last event.
I'll go wherever you want me to go. That's what I tell people. You call me, I'm coming.
We appreciate you, man.
I love it.
Well, anything else you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Where can they find you?
Where can they find you?
You can find me. Okay, like I said, I'm at 3750 North Meridian, Indianapolis, Indiana. If you're here, so off of 38th and Meridian, on the third floor. I'm on all forms of social media as Norton Estate Planners. That's my law firm. I'm the Legacy Strategist on Instagram and TikTok.
Did you know that's ours?
What?
Legacy Home Buyers.
Oh, no. I didn't know.
See, listen, that's what I'm saying.
See, I'm the strategist.
And we the buy, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's me on
we already locked in
on the social media. But yeah, I mean, you follow us. We got events going on all the time, especially on Facebook. You see them on Facebook, LinkedIn. We're on all forms of social media for the most part. But I guess one parting thing I can say is in our community, we love to keep secrets, right? We don't like to talk about money. We don't like to talk about wealth. I think the biggest miss in our community is just because you talk about it doesn't mean someone has to know intimately your finances. I think I always tell people, whoever you believe is going to cause the trouble, the drama, the problems, you're absolutely correct. They are. So you might as well go ahead and have the discussion now and just get it out the way, right?
Dang, that's 100.
I love it.
I don't know, my head is
we
just
appreciate y'all. This is actually episode
39.
I almost said it.
We
You saw it.
appreciate y'all for coming out. Moguls in the making.
Moguls in the making, man.
This is your most love. No, I'm just kidding.
Straight like that.
Straight like that. We out. We appreciate you. Peace.